Over the past few years, there have been some major cases of prisoners being abused and mistreated by prison guards. And so a lot of these cases have come from the prison that Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke, which is the guy in the picture on the right, he runs this prison that where many of these cases of inmate abuse come from. And so David Clarke, he's a big outspoken Trump supporter, and right now he is being sued for jail abuse of pregnant women. And so a lot of these cases are come out in the news and they are detailed, but a lot of them go unreported, and a lot of prison guards and people running the prisons are just able to get away with a lot of abuse of these prisoners. So a lot of people may think that just these are prisoners, it doesn't matter if they're harmed, like they committed a crime and it doesn't matter what gets done to them, but that doesn't mean that the guards and people running the prisons should be able to just get away with whatever they want to do. And so in these cases, like almost all the time, nobody's ever charged for a crime or is punished at all, and they're just able to get away with whatever they want. And then so the reason why they aren't really ever charged is because a lot of times the prisoners don't have like proper legal representation, and obviously the prison guards have the legal system on their side, and they are rarely held accountable for it. And so this first case is in the prison that David Clarke runs in Milwaukee, and so this is the case that David Clarke is being sued over. So here's the event. So in July 2016, a newborn baby died at the Milwaukee County Jail after the mother was forced to give birth on her cell floor. According to a federal lawsuit filed on March 14th, plaintiff Mosa Hall was shackled before, during, and after childbirth at a local hospital in 2013. A belly chain was allegedly wrapped around her waist when she needed to use the restroom, and she had her wrist attached to her waist and her legs attached to one another by leg irons. Hall claims that the jail deputies also denied medical providers' request to take off the chains during childbirth, which made it difficult for those providers to get her an epidural. So then it goes on to say that the attorneys hope to represent more than 40 other women who were shackled while pregnant under David Clarke's leadership at this prison. So it's a pretty common occurrence for women to be shackled during pregnancy, and these pregnant women are just especially mistreated in his prison, and they just are allowed to get away with it. And then so this next case is also in Sheriff David Clarke's prison that he runs, and it also has to do with a pregnant woman. So here it is. So Swayzer has filed a notice of claim against Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, according to Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and alleges that jail staff ignored her request for medical attention as she went into labor. Swayzer's lawyer John Jankowski wrote that she told a corrections officer her water broke, but the officer laughed and ignored her. According to the paper, she had given birth around 4 a.m. On July 14th, Swayzer allegedly did not receive medical attention until 6 a.m. Her child was declared dead later that day, Journal Sentinel reports. So in a lot of these cases, the pregnant women are just mistreated and rarely given the proper medical treatment that they need, and so nobody's held accountable in this case, like most of the cases. And so even if you don't have sympathy for the prisoners, like you think they just committed a crime and it doesn't matter what gets done to them, like people can at least care about this baby that died as a result of just the prison guards' negligence to give her proper treatment. So this next case is a more recent case that the ruling happened for this month, but the actual event took place 5 years ago, and it was in Miami, Florida. So it says the state has declined to file criminal charges against 4 corrections officers who allegedly boiled a schizophrenic inmate alive in a Florida person's shower 5 years ago. The Miami New Times reports Darren Rainey was serving time in Dade Correctional Institute for cocaine possession when corrections officers allegedly trapped him inside the shower for 2 hours under 180-degree water. Inmates said they could hear Rainey scream as the guards laughed and asked if the shower was hot enough. The prisoner nurse said that there were burns on 90% of Rainey's body, and his skin fell off whenever it was touched. According to the Miami Herald, at least 6 inmates say the shower was used to punish inmates, and many of them mentally ill. The state law kept prison showers at 120 degrees, and medical workers say that they were pressured to keep quiet by the private contractor that runs the prison. A lawyer for Rainey's family says they are appalled by the report. And then the report from the attorney's office found no evidence that the guard committed a crime. So the guards, obviously, they intentionally set the temperature to 180 degrees, which is above the allowed 120 degrees limit, and they just purposely tortured this mentally ill man, and they knew what they were doing. They done it to a lot of other people. That, according to the other inmates, they say it's used for punishment. The shower is used for that, and so they just torture and kill this man by leaving him in a scorching hot shower for just 2 hours, and then they laugh at him while they do it. I just don't understand how nobody's charged for this murder. And so this man was just in prison for cocaine possession. It's not like he's a murderer or like a rapist or any crazy crime. He didn't commit any crazy crime. He's just a nonviolent drug offender, and they kill him for whatever he did in this prison. And so again, nobody's charged in these type of cases, and the police are always sided with, and they get to do whatever they want, and then they tell the medical workers to keep quiet so that they don't get any, so that they aren't held responsible for this obvious murder that they committed. Okay, so the next case is from April 2016. It's comes back to the prison that Sheriff David Clarke runs. So authorities have ruled the death of an inmate a homicide caused by profound dehydration. Terrell Thomas, 38 years old, was found dead in a Milwaukee jail cell on April 24th, 9 days after being arrested in connection with a shooting. Other inmates heard Thomas beg for water in the days before he died, the Journal Sentinel reported in July. Inmates also told the Journal Sentinel that the water in Thomas's cell had been shut off for 6 days, and one inmate allegedly said to the guard, "If something happens to that man, it's your fault." The medical examiner labeled it a homicide and indicated that the death was caused by the actions of another person, but it doesn't mean that anyone's going to be prosecuted for this crime. So there weren't any details of why the guards shut off this guy's water supply, and there's no details on what he might have done to deserve it, but just no one should die because of dehydrations when the guards can clearly prevent this type of thing. These are just a few instances of events that have actually been reported from prisons, and they're actually detailed in the news, but there are hundreds of cases just like this that go unreported all the time. And so the links to these articles where that you can see more about these stories will be in the description. And then so this type of mistreatment and torture of prisoners happens very often, and they don't want to, and the people that run these prisons don't want the cases like these to be reported. And so these people running the prisons just need to be held accountable and responsible for their unlawful actions, and there needs to be charges whenever they commit crimes like these.